And what's up, everybody? I'm back with another episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast. This is episode number 87 of the Talking NASCAR podcast. As you can see, Hitmaster is not here tonight. He was busy and therefore cannot be on this week's episode. However, that's okay. He will be back next week. Don't worry about it. And we should be all good. So you just get a lot of me today, which is, you can, how you feel about that. But anyway, number 87 of the Talking NASCAR podcast, we are going to talk about what happened this weekend at Pocono. This past weekend at Pocono. What happened there? A lot of stuff happened there, so that's going to be fun to talk about. There's also going to be some stuff that probably overlaps with the aftermath of the Chicago Street Course race, because, as remember, we had to do that episode very early in the week, last week, so a lot of stuff might flow over from there. Hopefully we're back on track where we're now going to be recording things a little bit more relevant, but if you hear some stuff from the Chicago Street Course, that is why, as well as some other stuff that's going on. And I will also give more thoughts about my trip to Owasso Speedway. That review has not come out yet, so you kind of get a first look on how things are going to go if you decide to ever visit the track. So that's kind of cool. So silly season stuff, and at the end we will preview the Indy Road, Indianapolis Raceway Park, and the big track, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So we'll get to that at the end. But first, let's jump into Pocono. So for the truck race, there were some decent battles all across the track, which was cool. A nice save for Nick Sanchez as well. I gotta say, that was a great save, especially at a high speed track like Pocono. It's very impressive to save it like that. Rajah Caruth also took a spin late, and then with 9 laps to go, the rain came. It was a very light shower, though, so they were able to get the race restarted and no problem. However, that late restart got very chaotic, with things happening all over the place on that last restart. But in the end, Corey Heim was able to pretty much dominate flag to flag in this race and get the win. No surprise at this point. I think it's about his 5th or 6th win this season. He's been doing amazing this season. And if he's not the champion, something went wrong. I'm just going to say that right now. Something went very, very wrong. So that was the Truck Series race. Nothing too special from that. Then we move on to the Xfinity race. Sage Graham wrecked on lap 2, on the very second lap of the Xfinity race. William Byron also had some troubles in stage 2, getting into the wall and losing a lot of track position that he can never really gain back. But the action really picked up in the beginning of stage 3 when we had the big one, collecting multiple cars. And on that ensuing restart, AJ Allmendinger spun out. So chaos at the Xfinity level. There was some more wrecks late, including Sam Mayer, just for whatever reason deciding to spin Shane Van Gisbergen. Really weird driver to spin, like Shane Van Gisbergen, who was having a really good run, by the way. We have to talk about how Shane Van Gisbergen has been able to really pull it together and start actually doing pretty good on the ovals in the Xfinity series. He had a really good run at Nashville. And he was running really, really good at Pocono. He was set for at least a top 10, if not a top 5, before that spin. And, he's getting better. He's got the 3 wins, and that's going to really help him come playoff time. And I think with 2 road courses in the playoffs to help him out, where he could really very well win those races and get himself into the round of 8, he could snag a win on an oval, and you could see him contending for an Xfinity title in his first full season. That would be something to see. It's still pretty far-fetched, but don't count anything out. So, and then late in the race, it came down as a duel between Cole Custer and Justin Allgaier, with Cole Custer winning the duel and getting the win. So Whether this is the last victory in the Stort Haas era is still to be determined, but good job, Cole Custer, for getting the win in a pretty exciting Xfinity race overall. But then we get to the Cup race. Noah Gragson and Ross Chastain had some early issues. Get some early outs there. Doesn't really hurt them at all. Well, hurts Gragson because he's not in the playoffs yet. But Chastain, I think Chastain hurt him a little as well. But I think he'll be fine in the long run. And then the big, well, there were two big stories from Pocono, one from the fans and one from the race itself. The one that happened on the track was the incident between Corey Lajoie and Kyle Busch. So on a restart, literally like Corey Lajoie drove all the way to the bottom and got in, and Kyle Busch tried to pull a block, and Busch got dumped. He was punted into turn one, came back up onto the track. Hard hits for a lot of drivers. Took out a lot of drivers in that wreck. Another big one. It was some hard hits too. And a lot of people, including myself, are not very. I'm not the biggest Kyle Busch fan out there, but he is finally starting to put together some decent runs. Nothing extraordinary, but some decent runs the last few weeks, and has either been screwed over by equipment issues or by shit like this. And that's really what's going to kill him come Daytona, I believe. However, Corey Lajoie, I've been in Corey Lajoie's shoes so many times playing NASCAR video games at Pocono, like playing at Pocono in NASCAR video games, where I will just ride down to I'll be all the way on the bottom and I'll just send it in and just absolutely pile drive the field or something like that. But that's a video game, right? This is real life. Corey Lajoie, what were you thinking? You knew the track was going to narrow up there, and you still did it anyways. And you had zero remorse or zero even acknowledgement that, hey, maybe this wasn't a good idea. Just like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. You have like the swagger of a guy that's actually won a cup race before. Newsflash, he hasn't won a cup race. I don't know. Maybe it's shit like that makes him not very well liked in the garage or like within teams and whatnot. That makes him not get a better ride. I don't know. And it's like, okay, if you had the performance to back it up, maybe I would believe you a little more. But, you know, Lajoie had a pretty good season. Like, has like some good runs in 2022 and was showing some potential. But it's been kind of stagnating since. And it really doesn't seem like it's going to get any better anytime soon. So, like, what the hell, man? What the hell? But yeah, that was a big moment in the race. And I do feel bad for Kyle Busch in this situation because, you know, he put himself in this position where he has to basically win now to get into the playoffs. However, there's some moments that he could have fixed it and he wouldn't be in this position. So this is where running 25th at all those tracks comes back to haunt you, huh? I think he'll pull it together, though. I think Kyle Busch has got a little bit left in the tank. I'm not. He's down, but he's very far from out. So. But the race continued on. Zane Smith and John Hunter Nemechek tangled on the restart. They also took some hard hits. And then it was a pretty shit week in fantasy for me. So we had Ty Gibbs, the pole sitter for this race. His ass decided that he was going to pull the strategy of pitting right before the end of the stage for fuel strategy. So we got no stage points, even though he could have easily gotten a good amount. He was in the top 5 both stages. Could have easily gotten good stage points, but decided to pit. Finished 30th in both stages, pretty much. And then he blew a motor after a pit penalty, by the way. He was up front. He had a pit penalty. Avoided the 2 wrecks, and then blew his motor. So we got 27th on the day with no stage points. 2 great weeks in fantasy for Team Pringleson, huh? So that sucked. But that was the last caution of the race. Ryan Blaney was able to pull away late and score the win. His, I believe, second win in the last 5 weeks, they were saying. And his 12th career Cup win overall and second at Pocono. Fun fact. So good job for Blaney. I'm not too mad about the win or anything like that. I think it was well deserved. It was a pretty good race overall, too. Shrouded with controversy, though, no doubt. And one of the bigger controversies of the race wasn't even about the race itself. It was about the traffic. Now, traffic, I think, I've only been to 2 NASCAR tracks, Michigan and Bristol. Michigan's traffic is pretty bad. However, it's not that bad. It can just be kind of annoying to sit there for an hour in traffic. But it's a rural area. They only have like 2 roads to get there. Thousands and thousands of people, thousands of cars, RVs, trucks, all this stuff trying to get out at the same time. And Pocono, I think, fits in that same perspective. But Pocono's been around so long, and in this traffic situation that was popping up all over the news after the race, what the hell, man? What? Like, seriously, people were getting out of their cars and just walking to the track or turning around in traffic to go back home because they weren't going to make it to see the race anyways. Or people got there in the third stage and just left. The hell, Pocono? Like, you've been around enough where you feel like this wouldn't be a problem. Now, this was all caused apparently by a small thunderstorm cell that came through. And due to their thunderstorm regulations, all the workers had to abandon their positions and take shelter, which caused the huge traffic backup. This was about like 11:30 in the morning before the race started, about 2:30, I think it was, or closer to 3. So it was kind of looked like a 2011 Kentucky type situation, which I get it. You want people to be safe and stuff like that, but you've been around so long that I feel like you would have a better system in place for the stuff like this. This is far from the first time the Pocono has had a rain on race day, and I'm sure this procedure's been in place before. And I understand a lot of other people's frustrations and whatnot too, about not getting there. That's a really shitty situation. We've never had that problem at MIS before. We didn't have that problem at Bristol. And, people are like mad that they're like, people are getting mad that like reporters and stuff and other fans are shitting on them because they were they should have just gotten there earlier to avoid all this. And I have always shown up early to the race. We always get there in the mornings of the race to walk around and stuff. It's something that really we only do exclusive to NASCAR races. We go to an NBA game or a college game or like a baseball game or something. We'll get there maybe an hour early or something like that. But not 5 hours early like we do for some of these races, 7 in the Bristol case. Because there's just not much to do. Nothing to do. But if I was fans, if you're looking to go to a NASCAR race, here's my advice. Yes, get there early. You can tailgate. You can walk around with the haulers. You can see driver interviews. You can see concerts in some places. You can... I don't know. Just get there early. Because yes, a lot of these tracks are in rural areas. Bristol, really rural area. Michigan, Pocono, Sonoma, even in a pretty rural area. Daytona, not so much, but Talladega definitely is a rural area. And who says this can happen at any track? If the sole problem was the fact that the workers had to find shelter for an hour and not direct traffic because of the thunderstorms. It could happen anywhere. So, but getting there early avoids that issue, and you'll have enough time. Now, with the Kentucky situation, people tried to get there early, and they were still late. And that was because of infrastructure. That was because they rushed it. All that kind of stuff. That's not pertaining to that. This is just to the Pocono situation. So, I do feel for those people, though. That is really shitty. NASCAR tickets are not cheap. And with Pocono only having one date now, a lot of people just missed out on their only opportunity to see a race in person this season. And that really sucks. So I hope they get everything sorted. I hope they get everything figured out. People get refunds or something like that. That's all I'm going to say on it. Anyway. That's all I had from Pocono, though. Pretty good racing weekend overall, though, if you just look at the racing product. So, pretty good. Pretty good. Gonna do it, though, for Pocono. Let's put it in the books, shall we? Yeah, so I talked about there's going to be stuff about the Chicago Street Course in this race. There is just one thing. Bubba Wallace was fined $50,000 for wrecking Alex Bowman after the race had ended at Chicago. Now, another incident came up, which I talked about with Chase Elliott and Daniel Suarez. No penalties were issued for that. And a lot of people are pissed off about that. I think it's justified. Bubba Wallace was definitely a more ill intent. And Chase Elliott's incident, there was no real contact in retaliation. So I understand that situation. However, $50,000 down the drain, Bubba. How do you feel? Probably not good. I don't know. $50,000 is a lot of money, but you're also a NASCAR driver, so that's not really that much money to you. I don't know. I still feel like it would be, though. I still feel like it would be. I would never want to fucking do that. Come on. That was all the penalties from Chicago. There weren't any penalties post Pocono, except 2 crew members on the 2311 team, or at least one from the 2311 team, and another one that used to be a crew chief and was not anymore, but they were still like affiliated with NASCAR. Cordell Cahill and RJ Otto, they were both suspended indefinitely for violating the substance abuse policy. Not the first time we've seen this season or even last season, and it probably won't be the last, but they were busted for it. So sucks to be them, I guess. Don't do steroids, kids. Don't do steroids. There's a couple other silly season things as well. So Rodney Childers, of all people, has been named the crew chief for the 7 car next season, Spire. Yeah, Corey LaJoie is still in that car, and Rodney Childers got that. What? Corey LaJoie does not deserve Rodney Childers as his crew chief. Not by a long shot. What were you thinking, Rodney? You don't accept that contract offer. Go somewhere else. Do it. So we'll see how that goes. Also, it was confirmed that Noah Gragson is going to Front Row Motorsports next season. It's likely that he is going to take over the 34 car, but that was not confirmed. We don't know if they're going to change the number or something because Michael McDowell is leaving Front Row after the season. Todd Gilliland is not, so it only makes sense that they go to the 34. I heard they might be looking to expand. I don't know how viable that is. I'm going to assume he's going to the 34 though. So we'll see. But he's going to Front Row. That's another one of the out of job Stuart Haas drivers that now has a vacancy filled. Or has filled a vacancy now. Josh Berry, Noah Gragson, somebody else. Who was it? Chase Briscoe. The only one now that hasn't found anything is Ryan Preece. And we'll see if anything does come up for Ryan Preece as the rest of the season continues on. So, we'll see. And then the only other piece of news that I had, it was a pretty light week for news this week. A lot of the stuff came from last week, going over into this week. But Ty fucking Dillon, dude, is back in a cup car this weekend at Indy. Surprise, surprise. He's racing for his grandfather's team, RCR, in the 33 car. Ty Dillon just makes my blood boil, okay? Because so many teams take a chance on this guy. And you should know by now, he has no good upside. He's been in NASCAR how long? How many top fives does he have? 2? 3? None? What the fuck? I hope he races like ass. Maybe Austin Dillon can get fired too. That won't happen. What am I, crazy? Yes, I am crazy. Anyway, that's all I had for news. Nothing else too crazy, but I did want to talk about Owasso Speedway a little bit. I'm not going to do a full in-depth review here because I did record one. It just hasn't come out yet. We're in a really, really heavy influx of time right now for content on the channel, like unique content, not just like game reviews and everything like that. There are still game reviews being made and that will go up and stuff, but other stuff. So the Owasso Speedway review and vlog are in there. They're coming, just not right now. So just be patient. But on Owasso Speedway, I think if there was any track near me that could host a NASCAR event, not like a Cup Series race, but really any division, trucks, ARCA, maybe even Xfinity, probably not though, I think Owasso Speedway would have a good case for it. It felt like we were at a very high-end facility. It felt like we were at a very high-end track for a bigger race than just weekly racing leagues, you know, that they do around like the Midwest or whatever. It felt a lot more formal. There were people tailgating out front. There was a lot of grandstands. It goes all the way around. Pretty much it goes to, well, there actually was a standing area on the backstretch, which I forgot to mention in the review. There's a standing area on the backstretch. I don't know if that's for fans or not, but then the grandstands go like from like, what is it, like, I want to say turn 1 all the way down the front stretch into turn 3, and then like at the entrance of turn 3 is where it stops. That's a lot of space. Now they don't go very high, so that's, I guess, where you kind of compromise, but it's still pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's pretty cool. Also, the track is very well banked. That's another reason why I think this would be a good place for a truck race or something like that. The bumps and stuff, it kind of felt like a more smaller Rockingham with kind of like the banks and the bumps and stuff like that. There's one particular bump as you go into turn 2. We saw a lot of cars bouncing there. And then up top, like, it's all banked. Even the straightaways are banked, and it's a good amount of banking, like kind of like that. The turns are a little more, oh, not like that. No, like that. The turns are like that. The straightaways are like that. But then you go, but there's on the by the wall. There's a little area by the wall up top that's completely flat. We saw a lot of cars go up there, especially in turn 2, to try and gain some speed, I think. But then it's like, you know, you don't want to hit the wall because it was so close to the wall. So it was kind of cool watching that as well. The racing product overall was pretty good. Nothing crazy though. We did see one car get airborne because another car lost a tire on the front stretch and the car got air because of it. That was the biggest wreck and really the only truly notable wreck from the event. But they also have another really cool thing called the hot dog races, where like a bunch of drivers will start the race and they gotta start from a standstill at the start finish line, and then they go and they have to eat a hot dog first. Then they go and they do a lap and they come back around. They have to eat a hot dog. They go back around, they come back, and you have to eat a hot dog. And I think you gotta do that 4 or 5 times, and first person to do it wins. It is so funny, dude. So I love it. I loved watching that because on the second lap, as they came around for their second round of hot dogs, the leader ran over the box of hot dogs, ruining almost the entire supply. And then he deposited all the debris in turn 2. So the track was just littered with like hot dog grease and cardboard and stuff after the race. And they had to spend an extra amount of time cleaning it up, which I thought was funny. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I also felt just like a little more proper than other quarter mile, like tiny tracks that I've been to. Because obviously you could tell they have sponsors, a lot of good sponsors. So they bring in some good money with those sponsorships. I'm sure they also do good with ticket sales and everything as well, obviously. Speaking of ticket sales, 20 and under free. That is really weird. Really weird. You I get if it's like, okay, maybe 18 and under 18, or like under 12 is a common one, maybe under 15 or something like that. But under 20, 20 and under? It's 20 and under, not just under 20, 20 and under. What? Damn. That was another thing. And then, but also just felt like more proper staff. They had bag checks. They had higher end security, and lots of safety people. Fun fact: they do introduce the safety people as they start before they start the races, which I liked. I liked that part. Security was getting on a lot of people's asses too, because they really do enforce the family section. No alcohol, no drugs, and they busted a couple people for that. And I like that because there's plenty of space outside of the family section. It's not like they're restricting people. There's plenty to do, plenty of seating for people who want to sit in the family section and who don't. So the fact that they enforce it is good, because it can allow for everybody to enjoy the experience. Another reason why I really like this track. So there you go. Anyway, it's a really fun track. I want to go back at some point, but probably not for a while. Our next track that we're going to try and visit is Crystal Motor Speedway. That is on the 10th. So we're going to try to go there. It's another dirt track. It's our last confirmed plan for the season, for new tracks at least. We might try and go to another one in October. We're still undecided though. Maybe, maybe not. We also saw a racial slur on somebody's car when leaving the track. Not good. Not good. Ignoring that part though, it was pretty fun. And if you've never been, I definitely would recommend doing it. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. But it's not super. It's not super hard to get to. So 100% recommend doing it. But anyway, you can hear more in-depth analysis of the track in the review. You can also watch the vlog when that comes out. So don't worry, you just get a little sneak peek here in the podcast for all 2 of you that watch it or whatever. Anyway, it's picking time for our predictions. We're not doing the chips, obviously, because Hitmaster is not here. But Hitmaster did submit his predictions for the weekend to me. So the truck series is at the Indianapolis Raceway Park. You guys don't know what the Indianapolis Raceway Park is? It's like basically right next to the big track, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But it's like a short track. It's in NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup. I love racing there. It's a really fun track to race at. And that's going to be a night race. And then the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series are at the big track, the big Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They are back on the oval. No more road course. They are back on the oval. And I'm very excited to see how that's going to go, because they literally, I think the package at the big tracks, Indy, Pocono, Auto Club, RIP, and all these other tracks has gotten so much better since they last raced on the oval. And I think it will be so much better to watch them race there than the damn road course. So I'm very, very excited about that. But who do we think is going to win this weekend? So for the truck series, Hitmaster picked Marco Andretti, the IndyCar driver, coming over to race a truck race. And I pick, who do I pick? Who do I pick? Oh yeah, who do I pick? Who do I pick? I'm going to pick Corey Heim again. Screw it. Like, it's really hard to pick against him because he's just so good. Their playoffs are starting soon, actually. The truck series is. We got to remember that. We got to remember that for the podcast. They have this race, and then they have Richmond after the Olympic break, and then they start the playoffs. So we're gonna have to go over their playoff field sooner rather than later. Anyways, Xfinity Series now on the Indianapolis Oval. Hitmaster picked Ryan Sieg. I am going to pick. You know what? I'm gonna pick Parker Kligerman. Why not? And then for the Cup, Hitmaster's pick for Cup was William Byron. And my pick for Cup, as always, is Chase Elliott. Probably not who we're going to pick for fantasy. However, it's who I'm picking for the podcast. So, that's all we got, though, from this week's episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast. Like I said, Hitmaster will be back next week. We got our episode next week, and then we are along with NASCAR, we are taking that 2-week break. There will be no episodes the next 2 Fridays after next Friday. So we're doing one next Friday. The next 2 Fridays we are not. And then we'll be back after Richmond. So that'll be awesome. So anyway, but if you want to be a guest on the Talking NASCAR podcast, all you got to do is join the Pringles Sun & Company Discord. Link is in the description down below. Request the Talking NASCAR role, and me or Hitmaster will figure out a time to get you on and talk some NASCAR. But otherwise, that's going to do it for this episode. Stay tuned for much more amazing content from both me and Hitmaster. Go check him out too, even though he's not here. And until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.